Before we get started with this particular rant, or maybe criticism of mine, I want to get out of the way that I absolutely do respect Killer, not only as a pilot, but as a person. He's a very fun guy to talk to, especially whenever we're talking about Ace Combat-related stuff that him and I can both agree with, and even when we both have disagreements with one another, we're still able to debate it in a rather calm manner, at least most of the time. I love his videos, and he's one of the few people that actually watches mine, including this video in particular. I mean absolutely, and I mean absolutely zero disrespect to him when I make this video. I truly do mean this. And I hope that this doesn't cause any drama between him and I after this video ends up getting posted, but this was just something that I had to get off my chest. Before I get started, I am going to fly the cannon plane of this mission, being the PLSL, but I will make a video using other aircraft in order to counter another criticism that he said during this video regarding this mission in particular. So, it was 6:30 a.m. yesterday, October 27th, 2019, when I ended up waking up early, and I ended up seeing Killer's notification on his review of this mission, which I was actually looking forward to. Now, he told me he didn't like this mission previously in chat at one point, and I thought, okay, that's fine. I just want to see what his reasoning behind it is, though, because personally, I actually really like this mission. I don't think it's the best mission in the series. I don't think it's the best in this game, but I think it's definitely one of the harder missions within the game, and one that I was actually kind of struggling with on my first playthrough, which is something that almost never happens in Ace Combat 7.
The food at this party served buffet style.
But that being said, I don't want to dilly-dally, and I just want to get down to the main point of the video, and one of the main criticisms that he brought up that outright didn't make any sense to me. The enemy spam. Now, I'm pulling up the radar right now, and as you can obviously tell, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of targets. Some are particularly bullet spongy, like the battle cruisers that were introduced in this particular mission. Yes, they actually went so far as to add new ships into this, so kudos, I guess. But at the beginning of the video, by the time of the briefing, he was talking about this mission being the most enemy-spammy mission in the series, next to Liberation of Grace Maria, and just how many enemies were in this mission spamming missiles at you, and how it was, quote-unquote, completely unfair. Now, unfairness and just how balanced the game is obviously incredibly subjective. But this is one of the few times where I actively had to just stop the video and just take a breather and just kind of just deduce why this really didn't make any sense to me. And the reason for this being is, Killer really doesn't go into much detail about why this is such a problem. Well, he does, a little bit. There's a ton of missile alerts, which there absolutely is. There are a ton of enemies that can really take a bunch of damage, like the ships over here, which is also absolutely true.
Half of the anti-air guns destroyed.
And there's the idea of the UCAVs, which is most definitely not true for the reasons I'm going to get into later.
It's fine by me. How many ships in port are still operational?
Anyway, like I was saying. Now, other criticisms about this mission I can understand to an extent. Scream and Rage being a relatively easy boss fight. On the lower difficulties, this is most definitely true. On Ace, not really. Them being wasted potential, I get. Captain Taurus being turned into a cartoon villain, which I don't get, because this was something that should have been made clear when he made a White Sheets rant towards the 3 strikes in the first mission, which was so incredibly hammy and cheesy that it honestly should have given away just how evil he was. But whatever. Listen, these are all minor things, and yes, they are good. They are correct, but this isn't something that really ruins the mission for me. And this isn't something that would ruin the mission for him either. He's a gameplay oriented person. But the biggest thing that just didn't make sense to me within this video was that having a bunch of enemies and firing a bunch of missiles at you is supposedly unfair. Now, he was playing this mission on normal difficulty. If you couldn't tell by this literal very second of this video, I am currently playing on Ace. And yes, I am using the X15 with DLSL, but I'm using it just because it's the canon play. I can make a video with the Sukhoi 33 with LASMs on this just to prove that they are in fact viable. Because that's one criticism that he made towards this mission that really didn't make any sense. There was the first line about the fact that he says, you cannot do this mission without using special weaponry. Why this is a criticism makes zero sense to me. Special weapons and just being able to wreak absolute havoc with them has been a part of the series since Ace Combat 4. It is fun to have... Okay, actually let me derail the topic here. This is one of the criticisms that he had. How many missile alerts are going to be thrown at you during this mission? Missiles are going to be thrown at you from every single direction, and to him, this was unfair. To me, it is fun. Just trying to avoid all these missiles while focusing down each individual target. Having to focus on each individual objective this mission gives you. He says this mission's very anti-player, which I have no idea what that even means, so I'm not really going to go into detail about it. If that somehow means that this mission is difficult for the sake of being difficult, which he also says in this video, yeah, no shit. The point of the missions in this game is you fighting your enemy. Like, yeah, why is the mission being difficult a problem? And he's acting as if, like, this mission is so, is unfair because of how many missiles are being thrown at you. And yet here I'm thinking, what's the difference between this and, like, say, Lonzo? They both have large amounts of enemies. They both have give you a ton of time to fight all these enemies off. The only real difference between the two is that the enemies aren't as aggressive in Lonzo as they are in this mission. But this is the furthest thing from a bad thing to me. Having a bunch of enemy targets for you to fight individually is absolutely a good thing. This is the first mission in Ace Combat 7 where I truly felt threatened, where I was truly having trouble with said mission. The only other time this was true was when I was trying to S-ring Mission 19 and Mission 9, Face the Soldier, on Ace, and I had no idea what to do. Those are the only times where I truly felt like this game was getting difficult. And it's mostly due to the incredibly arbitrary S-ranking requirements within this game, especially Face the Soldier. However, the thing that makes a game or a mission anti-player, like say Liberation of Grace Maria, is whenever it introduces bullshit gameplay mechanics into the mix. This game doesn't do any of that. Everything that you do within this mission is everything you've been doing throughout the entirety of Ace Combat 7. Everything you've learned in this game, hell, everything you've learned in the previous games, is going to be used here. There isn't anything particularly different outside of the UCAVs, which are a complete joke for the reasons I will go into much later. And just... Alright. Let me get off topic real quick and actually start focusing here, because I've just been flying around aimlessly just talking. This is why I shouldn't be doing commentary that often. But anyway, like I was saying. Like, what is the criticism here? Why is a bunch of missiles and a bunch of enemies unfair? Having a bunch of enemies allows you to wreak havoc and have fun. It puts a smile on your face when you get to go in your plane and destroy absolutely everything. Meanwhile, listening to music in the background. B7R does this, Pomona does this, Barbanti, both Ace Combat 7 and Ace Combat 4 does this. To criticize this mission for being enemy spamming and for firing so many missiles is a criticism that can be applied for almost every other time attack-based mission within this game. Not just in this game, but in the series in general. The only real difference between this mission and those other missions is the amount of missiles being thrown at you. But again, why is this a problem? I've said this many times before, and I'll say it many times again. Missiles in this game aren't anywhere near as threatening as they are in previous games. Back in Ace Combat 4, and 5, and 0, one missile was an instant death for you. This game, It's a 3-hit death, and you have fire extinguisher and bulletproof tank to amp your defense. And you can head over to the return line to amp up your flares, which is pretty much just a walking get-out-of-jail-free card for every time you have a missile on you that you're not sure or simply can't evade. Firing a bunch of missiles at a player that has more than enough tools to evade these missiles, whether it be just plain turning harder than the missile, which we've been doing for the entire series, or using flares, or even post-sawing for that matter. Like, why is it unfair? Is too many targets in a mission really a problem? Is this not what every single person loves about Pomona, about B7R, about Long Day, about fucking every time attack-based mission in existence?
Additional UAVs on radar.
Pretty shabby for a reinforcement.
Because if the only thing that makes this mission unfair is the amount of missiles,
Military officer has fled the
then I can guarantee you that the missions in Ace Combat 4 and 5 would absolutely piss Killer off, because those missions can kill you in a single hit from any stray missile. This game does not do that. But yet he loves those missions, so I don't quite get the logic behind that. If you love Lit... To me, if you love Lit Fuse, if you love Long Day, if you love Pomona, all of which are some of my favorite missions in the series, you will absolutely love this mission. This is why everybody in the series has loved this mission. I have very rarely seen criticism for this mission outside of what Killer said. And the criticism for this mission from Killer is, no offense again, less than stellar.
Contact imminent.
Ace Combat series, gameplay-wise, has been built around this. Taking down lots of enemies, having a bunch of, I can't believe I'm saying this, metal carnage going on all around you. And you feeling like an absolute badass as you wreak havoc among the enemy.
They're shooting from beyond the horizon. That's why we need the UAV for terminal guidance.
We'll data link the predicted explosion radius from now on.
I actually have to head over to the return line in order to reload here. However,
Head back. I want that 100% survival rating.
so before I go into any more detail regarding the enemy survival, which I pretty much said what I needed to thus far, I'm going to counter another point that he said regarding the UCAVs and how unfair they are. There is one over there, but I have to resupply first.
Strider 1.
Now, the main criticism that he made, I'm just going to take a small break, was that the UCAVs were unfair and anti-player because they constantly outmaneuvered you and followed you around, and if you panicked, you really couldn't get them. However, I'm going to debunk that point with this one thing right here. That's a UCAV over there.
Projectile detected.
I'm going to fly straight.
10 seconds to contact.
Go.
Projectile exploded in the distance.
The UCAV, and I'm pretty sure this is something that Killer didn't really see during his playthrough of the mission, the UCAV is constantly tracking you because that's where the radius goes. Thus, if you are flying straight, the UAV flies straight. If the UAV flies straight and it's ahead of you, it is an easy kill. This is literally nothing. Something that you have to briefly fly straight over, especially when you have players in this game to know whatever missiles might be headed your way that you can't evade. This is not something that is an issue. I'm going to do it once again right here.
We need you to attack the designated heli.
Enemy shell detected. 10 seconds to contact.
Not the best example because I just messed that up, but still. Better.
Shell exploded.
The UCAV barely does any evasion. This is not unfair. This is not anti-player. It's an inconvenience, sure. One that the mission would probably be better off without. But to say it's unfair and anti-player is just outright frickin' ludicrous.
Radar contacts.
Like,
Hostile aircraft detected.
I just didn't get it.
Target destroyed.
You can fly straight and defeat this UCAV.
Target acquired.
You can barrel roll a little bit to avoid whatever other missiles might be headed your way, and it'd still be easy to kill the thing. I'm gonna do it here again.
Target has been destroyed.
Bandit on your 6. Detecting shell in flight. 10 seconds
Boom.
to contact.
It's so easy. This is not something that a person should be really complaining about. It's something that they should, at least not in regards to it being anti-player or whatever the heck that means. Sure, it's an annoying inconvenience that the mission can definitely be better without. But really? Like, is this really so unfair and anti-player? Like spamming missiles at spamming a bunch of missiles at a player when the missiles themselves can't one-shot you like they can in every other game? hell, Ace Combat 4? I don't understand, like, why this mission is, say, worse than Invincible Fleet, or Farbanti, or Tango Line, or even Whiskey Corridor.
2 minutes remaining. Projectile detected. 10 seconds to contact.
And before I get the criticism that says, oh, well, not everybody is as good as me. So what? And I'm probably going to get hit here, but honestly, that's not... Oh. Yeah, I got hit. That's my fault. But whatever. I'm going to... It only did 40% damage.
Fox 2.
Like, it's not that big of a deal even if you do get hit by it. So, okay. Let me attack some other criticisms here. Now... I'm not sure why that triggered so early, to be honest. But whatever.
Strider 1, missile away.
Once again, the UAV has to follow you, so just fly still. Like, the criticism that can be made in this mission about it being unfair can be used for every other mission that is time attack based in not just this mission, but in the series. Maybe not used for Long Day or Fleet Destruction because, you know, they don't spam anywhere near as many missiles, and missiles in this game generally don't do that much to you. It still takes 3 missiles to kill you, and you need to take an extra one if you're flying fire extinguisher, which I am currently doing. But like... But anyway, I guess I might as well go over details regarding some other things that he said. Captain Taurus being a cartoon villain. Perfectly true, but this is a criticism that should have been applied to his first review on the first mission, because Captain Taurus saying the fucking crisp white bed sheets is not only absolutely ridiculous, but also a meme already. Like, I don't understand why he gave the last mission a pass, but gave this mission shit for it. Unless he thought that Captain Taurus with that speech wasn't being a cartoon villain, but he most definitely was, but that is subjective.
Bandit down.
The next thing is that the game apparently made him hate Lancaster, which characters' things are fully opinionated, but he didn't really give any reason for this either. But just, Killer, if you watch this video, and I know that you will, like, don't type a massive comment towards me, or, like, comment essay on this video. Just get me in a chat one day and just talk to me about what you meant by enemy spam and why this doesn't apply to other missions in the other games. You even say that this mission would work in Ace Combat 5 or 0 or 4, and yet to me, it would actually work a lot less in those games, because, yeah, you still have plenty of missiles headed towards you, which I don't have a complaint about, but those games kill you in a single hit, and they don't give you as many warnings for it as they do in this game. In this game, they show you where the missile is coming from, both just above your plane, and on your radar system. You can see where all the missiles are coming from. This game literally tells you This game literally gives you a get-out-of-jail-free card in the form of your flares, which, even if you somehow find yourself in a position where you can't evade any missiles and you have to, like right there, if you can't avoid the missiles, you can just press L3 and R3 and just instantly avoid them. Yes, this game's mission spams missiles at you like crazy. But not only is it fun to evade them, this game gives you so many tools to evade missiles that it made the rest of the game kind of boring for me. If I can't avoid missiles normally, like I've been doing throughout the entire series, I can just flare and call it a day. If I am not able to do it normally and just turn as hard as I can see where on the radar the missiles are coming from and then counter it by turning the opposite direction. This game gives you every tool in the book to take on whatever mission you need to take, and just have fun on that mission.
Who you calling a wuss? We're trying to make you chase one so the other can get on your ass.
Impact now.
There's also the criticism towards you really can't. What was the line that he was saying? Oh yeah, yes. Oh, 1 second.
Detecting shell in flight.
There we go. Anyway, like I was saying. He said that you can't do this mission without using special weapons, and to me that just came across as outright spite. Because honestly, like, if you're really criticizing an Ace Combat game for not allowing you to breeze through a mission without using special weapons, then I'm sorry, but
You gotta watch your own back.
once again, this is a criticism that can be applied to almost every other mission in the series, especially time-based ones. And yes, I know I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, and I'm repeating a lot of the same points, but just...
Missile away.
Yes, they spam a bunch of missiles at you, but the missiles themselves aren't as threatening as they are in previous games.
Marker drone down.
So it kind of balances itself out. Yeah, the missiles aren't...
Lost its target.
Yeah, they spam missiles at you, but the missiles aren't able to just one-shot you with a stray like they do in previous games. And I'm not criticizing the other games for killing you in one hit with a single missile on Ace. I loved that about those games. It constantly kept you on your toes, and that was one of the things I criticized about Ace Combat 7. Holy shit, that nearly killed me. I need to watch my back better.
Still on your back.
But once again,
Change frequency.
like, a game being difficult and throwing a bunch of targets at you, this is the crux of the series.
Trigger, those damn bats are looking for a pincer attack.
I've actually never
One
looked at
comes for
them.
my ass, you take him down. They seem to have a crush on you, but I'll just watch me work my charms on them.
Let's get the wuss rage. He's getting in my way.
Oh yeah, another thing. He criticized this mission for Rage and Stream boss fight for being incredibly easy and complete jokes, even though he was playing on normal. So I'm not really sure how to counter that, in all honesty, just because, yeah, aces that are on normal difficulty are obviously easier than they are on Ace.
You and I.
Like, if you're complaining about the difficulty of the
Take those bats down.
aces, raise the difficulty. See, in this particular case, I'm actually having a lot of trouble with Rage and Scream, because their ECM tactics are constantly throwing me off. Now, this can be considered cheap because of the gameplay mechanics, but in all honesty,
Strider 1, shoot them down. Please, just shut up.
there we go.
That's a hit. We got the bat.
Take that, asshole.
Scream! 3 strikes!
The point I'm trying to make here is, enemy spam is simply not a criticism. Not a criticism that you can apply to the Ace Combat series without applying to every other mission. And by that point,
I'd rather go to hell than live in a world shaped by
if you're criticizing some of the biggest, and honestly some of the most fun missions in the game, like Long Day, another time-based game, for throwing at you a bunch of enemies, or giving you a bunch of missile spam, then what's even the point? Like,
The bat's blip has disappeared from our radar. At that altitude, it likely has crashed.
I know I'm sounding very jumbled and confused by the way that I was saying a lot of this. I repeated many of the same points many times throughout this video. I may even redo this later. But this is just... Killer, if you watch this video, and I know that you are going to, just send me a chat invite and just talk to me about it. You don't have to make a gigantic comment essay, because believe me, I know how time-consuming that is, and it's not fun. It's much more fun to simply talk things through and debate them. But the criticism regarding this mission being quote-unquote absolute trash, enemy spammy, and anti-player just kind of baffled me, and I didn't quite understand what he meant by it. I'm glad that I waited another day before I ended up making this video, because at the time that I watched that video, I was just like, dude, are you serious? And I wanted to make a video right then and there, but at the same time, I didn't want to fall into the same thing that Killer did when he made his Ace Combat 7 review, that being just coming off the game, just coming off the mission, and in this case, coming right off the video and thinking, just letting yourself be in control by your emotions rather than being clear about it, rather than being unbiased about it.
joining forces. The unidentified aircraft were shot down too.
And I noticed this during Killer's playthrough of the
Complete success,
review of this mission as well. It's just, he seemed very, like, aggravated, very...
You seem to be confused.
I almost want to say
Report in for a
uptight,
medical
but that's
check.
not really the best way to
We'll
say that,
decide
is
if you're
it?
still fit for service based on the examinations.
But just...
That That's enough.
And then he has the nerve to
Get
say
the
during
MP.
his
right.
review,
Get the MP.
"Oh, I honestly don't
Vice Chairman
understand the
Edwards, did the
fandom for
Joint
liking
Chiefs of
this
Staff?
mission.
The Alicorn slipped into Anchorhead
I don't
Bay after
understand the
mission was
criticism
completed, using
behind what you've
confusion
made
for
for this
cover.
mission, and you
It
are
resupplied
one of a
quickly
million.
and
You are the
escaped
only
unharmed.
person that has made a
Their
criticism
goal
towards
was
this
not to
mission.
join forces.
Not made
It
a
was to
criticism,
resupply using
but
the window
rather
we created
disliked
by
the mission
chasing
as a
away
whole.
The Erusian forces. We did their bidding, albeit
It
unknowingly.
didn't just...
But the problem runs deeper than our
Hopefully you
lack
can
of
be a little bit more
tactical
clear
acumen.
about it, but this was just
Analyst
something that
North,
outright...
explain for us.
The crew caught in a submarine
It was one of the
accident.
few times where I
330
was
men made it back
so
alive. Of them,
hung up on
300 are
thoughts that I
still
just
with
had
us
to
today.
give
Our intel has
that
led
a
us to
comment
believe
wasn't
that
going to be
some
able
or
to settle
all
it, and I
the 30
simply
men
had
left
to
the
make a
sub
video
are now
about it.
working as agents for the Alicorn. Sabotage, espionage,
Anyway,
cyber
cool little
propaganda,
moment here
dissemination
where
of false
Fusion ends
intel.
up lol one punching the
Brigadier
general in the face,
do you
and it's
recognize
so
the
goddamn
name
fun to
Edgar
see.
Saxon, or Zool, as he used to go by? He is a former member of the Alicorn's crew, and your source of intel.
You
But
are
either
a
way,
fool, Brigadier General Clemens.
I've gotten my
Not
point
only
across.
that,
I want
the
this
radio
guy to
communications
explain to
during the
me what
mission
he means
suggests you
by
are a traitor.
the mission being
Sir, if you
trashed for
check
the
with
amount of
Lieutenant
enemy
General
spam and
Shepard,
how
you'll
unfair it
understand
is,
that
and
this is
why
all
this
just a
doesn't apply to the
misunderstanding.
other
The
games,
Lieutenant
which
General
have
claims
missions
you were
far,
responsible for handling all
far more
aspects of the
difficult
mission.
and far more time-consuming
Now,
than
let me
this.
say that again. Get the MP.
No need for that.
Honestly, if I had to compare this difficulty-wise, Pop, it would just be an easier version of Invincible Fleet, but with more targets and a bit more dialogue, which I'm certainly not complaining about. Like I said, I love this mission, to the point where I even made a video of my own in response defending it. But either way, this is not something that I want to start drama with. I know that Killer's going to see this, and eventually I want to talk to you in chat and I want you to explain to me why this is so unfair. I'm not going to stand here and say get good. It's your fault that the mission is so difficult, not the game, which I was very, very close to making a video and outright saying, like, dude, it's your fault that this mission is so hard, not the mission itself. But at the same time, that's just outright immature, even though it can hold true in certain circumstances. But anyway, I've made my point, and hopefully this can be continued and resolved in a manner that I can understand. A rank, whatever.